All of them. If not, some. Yeah.
It was pouring out of that apple can. Okay, now I read that one from this one. Yeah, it's on Joseph, but it's kind of on that corner in front of the house. I saw that. It's on North King, yes, D.
Wait. Somebody's gonna talk to you.
I saw it too, and I was like, did somebody else really send it to you?
Not yet. Still abandoned by 4.
You want to hear?
Just want to make my hands are.
Troy. Yes, sir. I'm sorry? Yes. Yes, sir. That put a little rail in. I don't even know who's speaking. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our regular city council meeting. Today is Thursday, February 19th, 2026. It is 6:30 p.m. We are located here in the council chambers of Kermit City Hall. If y'all don't mind, I'd like to call this meeting to order, do our pledges of allegiances, and have our invocation with Councilman Hayes. If you don't mind standing.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we ask that you be with us this evening, be with everyone assembled here, this council, as well as residents that are here with their concerns. We ask that you lead, guide, and direct us through the meeting, that all decisions will be made in all fairness and with good concern for the benefit of our citizens as well as our city. We ask all of these things in your most honorable name. Amen.
Thank you, sir. First item, item number 4 is to administer the oath of office to the appointed District 4 representative, Mr. James Underwood. And if you don't mind going ahead by Ms. Diana.
Raise the right hand, and you will repeat after me. In the name of the authority of the state of Texas, I state your name.
James Underwood,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will faithfully execute the duties
that I will faithfully execute the duties
of the office of
of the office of
Councilman District 4
Councilman District 4
of the state of Texas,
of the state of Texas,
and will, to the best of my ability,
and will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States
of the United States
and of this state.
and of this state.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Stop.
Everyone, his phone number and email will be immediately available after the meeting. Okay.
Welcome aboard.
How are you, sir?
Thank you. Moving on, number 5, approve resolution 2606, which is a resolution by the city council of the city of Kermit, Texas, declaring unopposed candidate mayor at large position for the city of Kermit city officials election that was to be held on May 2nd, 2026. Yep.
This is just to approve resolution 2606. The mayor at large, Mayor David Holbrook did not have nobody running against him, so he was unopposed. District 4 and District 5 do have opponents, so except for the mayor. So I just did an approval on that.
I make a motion, we approve resolution 2606.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve resolution 2606. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thanks everybody for the compliment. We'll continue rolling on. Item number 6 is public comments. Arthur Hopper, you here tonight?
Yes, sir.
Come on up and introduce yourself.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. How are y'all?
Good.
Right.
Thank you. My name's Arthur Hopper. I'm here because I went to go try to pay my yearly application permits for my 3 RV parks. Technically, my RV parks are on 418 and 422 South Spruce Street, as well as 231-243 North Hickory Street. They were both RV parks before I purchased them. I did come to City Hall once before about it, but I think there was a clarity issue on how it went, and it was a long time ago, so I could recall better, but basically I just wanted to come before you guys and let you know that whatever the misunderstanding is, I'm definitely dedicated to running, safe and compliant parks. As soon as I bought them, I spoke with the people at the front desk here, and I made sure to understand all the things to do to make them compliant parks, and put fences around them immediately, numbered all the RV spaces, drew maps, submitted my application along with the maps, and I paid the fees every year. I think a total of like $2,100 a year the last couple of years I've owned them. So if there's anything that I can do to, just make sure that I'm on the up and up, I just, want to do good business with you guys, and I'm grateful to be doing this town with you guys. I own a local company here in town, and whatever needs to be done, I'll take care of it and do it promptly.
Do you remember the first year that you took those over?
Yes, sir. The first one was purchased in June 2023, and the second was purchased in November 2023.
What was the address on Spruce you gave us?
It's like 418 or 422 or both, or or it's like
422.
yeah. And I apologize, but it's different on my closing paperwork than the
Okay.
than the Google Maps. So
Okay, I
like
just
in the
didn't see the
habit,
418 on here, so
I
wanted to clarify.
apologize. It's a habit of Google Maps versus the closing documents.
And has there been some issues, or are you just coming to?
No, I just got denied. I tried to go pay my permits this year, and they were just like, hey, sorry, technically, they denied my applications this year.
Okay.
The first time,
On all of these.
all 3, yeah.
When was our ordinance updated?
I believe it was in 21.
21.
But he got denied because of what?
I'm not sure of this particular case. We do have one of our code enforcement officers that's up to date. They can provide the information that you're looking for, because of the fact that he did submit it in as a topic of conversation for the council. We can have this conversation if he wants more information. We do have Officer Ramirez that can provide that. So I'm not sure if that's what y'all are looking for right now.
Yes.
Do you mind if we discuss that?
Oh, of course, yeah, whatever needs to be done, yes.
Well, so Officer Joe Ramirez, code enforcement here with PD. I've been speaking with Officer Higley, who is the initial officer that has kind of been up to speed on this. And from my understanding, the denial this year was because just one of the properties is non-conforming as far as not being a full acre of land. That said, Officer Higley did tell me that this gentleman, he was asked to do these things whenever he took over the properties, and he without any issues, did so. And, got everything conforming. Has done everything. We haven't had any failures on his RV parks, on any of them. And, when it comes to us on our enforcement, we've recently had a change, with some officers and the way that Officer Higley and I go about it is the way that it is written in the ordinances. Now, if he was given special permission or granted something separately in the past after he purchased the properties, then, you know, it's not something obviously we have readily available, ahead of us. But I will say to the fact, on his properties, we haven't had any issues. And the only out of conformance that he has is just one of the properties is less than an acre. I don't know the exact by how much, but irregardless, he has been an exemplary RV park owner. And my knowledge, that is the only thing. And Officer Higley was saying that he was looking back and he couldn't see where there was a clear yes or no that was granted or not granted to this gentleman from prior engagements on this. So that's where we're at. And I just want to know that, you know, we're not picking on him or anything like that, obviously.
So
We're
remind
just,
us which property we're talking about that's less than an acre, or are we talking about all of the properties are less than an acre?
it's just one of those properties. I would have to go back and look to see exactly which one it is.
Okay,
I would say that that was the 422 South Spruce Street.
okay, that's what I was thinking, but makes sense.
But, and I
So
do
when
know,
did you purchase 422 South Spruce?
In June of 2023.
June 2023, and then you came and saw us in August 2023.
Yeah, and I can't recall, but I found soon after I bought the property, I came to the City Hall meeting.
Okay,
and-
but you've been permitted between then and now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, does not need to go through the P and Z prior to coming to the council or no?
Well, and just so you know, there's not any decision made here. Mr. Hopper just simply bring it to your attention.
Okay.
If there's something that needs to be done, then it would go through BOA, a Board of Adjustment for seeking a variance for that. But yeah, it would have to go through the Board of Adjustment committee.
Is these RV parks have been in existence for quite some time? I mean, before you purchased them, correct?
Years before. Yeah. And I do apologize if I'm wasting anyone's time. I was
No,
advised,
no, no.
I was advised I was supposed to come here and do
Yes,
this.
we don't know that the public is, you know.
Okay, yeah, there was a more convenient route to go. I would put that. This is the thing I was told to do.
I think when you deal with city government, there is no convenient route.
Or quick. You can answer in 6 months. Mike, is there a grandfather clause or anything that could be invoked or?
There's a grandfather clause as long as the property has not exchanged hands. If there's been a change of ownership, then they resort back to the current zoning that exists.
Okay. So in 23, it would have reverted back to the 21 ordinance, even though we issued
Right.
And we
permits.
didn't give him a clearance for the other ones that were.
No, I believe he received clearance on all of them, but it's just now this particular property has not been given clearance. That it's less than an acre, which the zoning ordinance says it's gotta be an acre.
Okay.
Okay.
But we can go back and take a look at and review, and Mr. Hopper can reach out to me. We'll try to see which way we can go. If it needs to go for BOA, if there's some provision that allows myself as a city manager be able to grant that variance, outside, we'll just take a look at our zoning code, see what it permits. But if nothing else, we'll get you down the right path to get it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Appreciate
guys.
you
Thank
bringing
you
it
very
in.
much.
Thank you, Council. Thank you, Mayor.
Good seeing you again.
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Peter Stanley, an update on the U.S. Postal Service?
Good evening. Thanks for the opportunity to address you all. I've been your postmaster since August 17th of 2025. So I'm just at 6 months here. And so I just kind of wanted to, one, introduce myself, two, to kind of give you some information that may not be widely known by residents, and in case people contact you, since you're the point of contact really in most cases for these things, that you would have some information. And some of that is that when a house becomes vacant, whether it is being sold or if it's being rented, and so someone moves out and it's going to be rented to someone else, when it becomes vacated, we do have the option, if in certain circumstances, to have the mailbox moved from where it would be located. So most of the mailboxes are currently up by the door on the porch area. And we are, when they become vacant, when the new resident moves in, we are requesting them to move the mailbox out by the curb or the street. And there's some guidelines with that they be posted on the post, between 41 and 45 inches off the ground. And it just be a box that is approved by the United States Postal Service, that can be obtained through Amazon or Lowe's or any hardware store. And that's for a few reasons. One, it's a safety thing. Safety is within concern of dogs. Safety is in concern of like gopher holes when you're crossing through yards. Safety as in folks having a lot of gadgets or equipment or toys, or whether children toys or adult toys, in the front yards. And so maneuvering through these things to get up to the porch becomes an obstacle and oftentimes a hazard. And if the yards are not well maintained, then you could add in snakes or things like this during appropriate, the seasons where you would encounter them. So, and then we also have expediency, really, as far as it saves time when they're out by the street for the carriers to be able to deliver faster. And so for, all these reasons, we are asking folks to move the mailboxes out to the street area. Now, some streets have curbs, some don't, some are, depending on where in town you're located, what that means looks a little different. And we work with that, the composition of the street and where it would be properly located. But the fact that they're being moved out towards the street is really, and we are asking that folks can work with us and do that voluntarily if they choose to. Now, they can't just do it on their own. They must consult us if they want to do that. Just like I cannot mandate someone to move it while they're living there. That's why it's done between when the structure becomes vacant, whether it's a residence or a business. But we can jointly agree to move it. So I just wanted to inform you of that. The other thing I needed to address, and kind of piggybacks off of that on the safety, is more with the dogs around town. There are too many loose dogs, whether they are owned or stray. Sometimes they have collars, sometimes they don't. So I don't know, or it's probably both. And I have too many instances where they're coming at the mail carriers. That creates a huge safety issue. Not just for the carriers, but for children or other residents around in the neighborhood. But being here for the post office, that's my bent, right? That will cost us delay of mail delivery. Just when there's a loose dog present that we cannot safely get to the door. It could prevent a more long-term if someone actually gets bit. So there could be a longer mail delay in that instance. It will cost the post office a lot of money. Also, if someone does get bit. So I'm trying to get some help here to prevent someone from getting bit. Now, I can tell you, there are times, even though I'm supposed to be a desk jockey, as they say, I actually go out and deliver mail when it's needed. And we have cans of, we call it dog spray, pepper spray, that we use as a deterrent if a dog is approaching in an aggressive manner. I have used in 6 months 3 of these cans. I delivered mail in Midland before I became a postmaster, and I never used it once. But here in 6 months, I've used 3 cans. I think that's a bit alarming. And so I'm here pleading and seeking some help to address this issue.
We're allowed to discuss.
Mhm.
Is there a certain area where you're finding this is more prevalent? Or is this everywhere in town?
It's everywhere. It's everywhere.
Everywhere.
Like just yesterday, I was delivering 500 block of South Hickory, and there was a pit bull that came at me. Then coming around the corner, running behind the pit bull was the owner, yelling at the dog to go back home. You know, so I mean, it happens on South D Street, the 6, 7, 800 block. In fact, because of safety issues, we put up metal boxes in the 800 block, and all those people, we forced them to have their mail changed to be delivered there, so we don't have to approach those houses that have those dogs. And one person said, I agree with you, and I live next door to one of them, and I'm afraid to let my children in the front yard. So he said, I don't blame that you did that at all. And so, you know, it's really, it's all over.
We know that this is an ongoing problem. We built a new animal shelter. It is not complete yet. We're gonna be able to house more dogs. The problem is we've just had an influx of all these people that come in and then they leave and then they leave their dogs. And so we're trying our best to get them picked up. But we only have a certain amount of spaces. And of course, when we do euthanize now, to try to help with this problem.
Mhm.
So, but hopefully we'll see some relief. How far are we out? Do y'all know about the shelter being finished?
About the middle of May.
Middle of May?
Is the current animal shelter staying full?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Do the mail carriers call in, report on a dog that comes at them like that, and like with an address or the area where they are?
Not always immediately, but I do hear about it at the end of the day. Actually, right the house next door to the post office, the dog broke off his leash where he was tied up, and I had to call Luana over here. She sent out I forget his name, Caleb or something like that, and he went to catch the dog because it came after an elderly gentleman with a cane. And, you know, and some of the folks that come to the post office, 80, 90 years old, and a dog come at them, you know, they could fall and get really badly injured.
Right.
Sure. But it is a help anytime they can call and let them know where there is,
Yeah.
especially a pack of them.
Yes.
The area, you know, like the 500 block of South Avenue C or whatever, could you get,
Right.
you know, the animal control officer out there to check that out? You know,
I have a question too. I know like when I'm out working and I call in, we call the PD and then they dispatch. Is there a way to get a direct line? Because I've been on the street and waited 30, 45 minutes at times and nobody shows up. You know, by that time the dog's already gone or, you know, I've moved on. I mean, I don't know if there's a better way or a more efficient way or.
Can I ask a question? So do you have an area that it's what I call a repeat offender, which the dog is constantly out?
There are some,
And then there are strays that just wander the whole town. You know, I see the same dog all over town, but there are some that I've called in on 3 or 4 times and it's the same dog.
Maybe, and I'm just throwing this out, that maybe y'all have a list and maybe turn to the chiefs, maybe more communication and that, so they can maybe patrol the area.
I know there is one place that the lady up in front of me, she's an elderly lady and was attacked by these dogs. I was attacked by these dogs. There's been children attacked by these dogs over there, but they're not there no more, thank God. But we all called in on them and nothing was ever done about them. Eventually, the owner decided to get rid of them, thank God. But you know, you call in on them and nobody comes to help. And I mean, them dogs were bad. They were bad. So there are lots of areas around here that we've got some bad dogs. They will hurt you. I've been attacked at least twice. And just walking my dog.
Maybe, like you said, a joint effort communication, and we could step up like you do commercial vehicle enforcement or something where we can go swarm an area.
And then I know they have addressed this twice, Mr. Stanley has addressed the boxes twice. Is there something that we can do to help them kind of get the word out there? Because I know you have come twice about the issue, about the mailboxes. But something on our Facebook or,
On the website.
yes,
We can do that.
is that okay with you? Okay.
I mean, the numbers you suggest would be like the 2577 number for the PD or having to call 911.
586-2577.
2577 number, that's it.
On the topic of the mailboxes being moved out, like the front of our house has been concreted in, so there's like no way. I mean, what would you want someone to do in that situation?
Well, we would look at putting as close to the street as possible. Yeah, and that's, you know, some neighborhoods the sidewalks are closer to the house or further away from the house, and this way it's case by case, but to be put out as close to the street as possible. And then another possibility is if a neighborhood wants those boxes that we put on for D Street, that they cost $2,000 each. But we could try to work out maybe if the folks are willing to pitch in and the post office could pitch in, we could buy those and put them up more, you know, for a particular block or two. And because then that also helps cut down on, because they're locked. You have to have the key to get in. They're very secure, so it cuts down on mail being stolen or blown away by the wind. We do make exceptions. There are 2 on that D Street that are medically unable to go to the box, so we still take their mail to the door. So I mean, we're not Nazis about it. We're very much mind to work with the folks, but I mean that's also a possibility if neighborhoods want to do that, and they also have a couple of larger spaces for bigger packages. So packages can be put in there, so that could decrease also packages being stolen. Some folks have said that they've had issues in the past about packages being stolen. That is one way to address, you know, that and you know, but again, you know, $2,000 for a box, I know that's a big expense, but we could look at that also if neighborhoods want to look into that, or we can work together to make that happen.
My daughter gets her mail in a cluster box on the top.
Yes, yes.
Anything else, Sean? Thank you again.
Thank you.
We'll work together to see if we figure something out.
Yep.
Thank you very much. Right now, we're scheduled to go into executive session. Since we've got a good group, I think I'd like to Nobody has any objection.
Wait, see if there's anything else for public comment.
I thought that came later. Here, number 11. Do we have anybody else in the public that would like to speak? Mike's rearranging our agenda.
I would like to, Mayor.
Yes, ma'am. Please come forward.
If I make this quick. I address you, Mayor and Council, publicly in regards to my formal notice that my termination on February 11th was unlawful and retaliatory. I formally appeal that decision and demand immediate reinstatement. My termination occurred within 10 days of reporting misconduct, workplace hostility, safe concerns, and after engaging in speech protected by the First Amendment, and continued reporting and evidence collection of financial irregularities. The termination constitutes violations of First Amendment retaliation, speech on matters of public concern, 14th Amendment procedural due process, 42 USC 1983 municipal liability for policymaker decisions, Texas Whistleblower Act, federal and state anti-discrimination laws, ADA. The decision was made and or ratified by a final policymaker. Prior to and between January 30th and February 11th, I reported in good faith numerous voided, deleted payment entries in the MC system, discrepancies involving citation payments, irregular credential usage within the court software, potential misapplication of funds. Reports were made verbally, written, and electronically to supervisory and law enforcement authorities. Reports were developed while working with Tyler Technologies. Workplace misconduct, including hostile and demeaning conduct by staff, interference with benefit documentation, restriction of access to employee records, intimidating behavior, shushing, and a hand in the face. Safety concerns, overcrowded municipal office, mobility hazards, public access security concerns. By the way, I don't know if y'all realize it, but there's not a bulletproof protective barrier at the window for the municipal court. That's a big thing. Also, the city manager approved office safety rearrangements prior to me rearranging that office, but that's one of the things that I was getting some aggressive pushback on. Political speech. Termination documents confirmed the basis for my termination was on my personal social media comment outside of work hours from a personal device off of city property on a personal account. The comments referenced local bond discussions and civic engagement. They did not disclose municipal court information. Termination document states that the post created a level of disruption to the public trust. The content itself was not insubordinate, I'm sorry about that. It was not profane, it was not threatening, and it was not unlawful. On and before January 30th through February the 2nd, misconduct and safety issues were also reported. February the 8th, I had a social media comment, which this is in reference to. February 11th, I was immediately terminated abruptly. And our city manager actually flew in specifically to fire me and then flew back out. I don't know if y'all are aware of that. The close timing supports retaliatory motive. Although the PPM references at-will employment, it also establishes procedures and standards of conduct. I received no progressive discipline, no corrective action, no written warning, no performance deficiencies, no meaningful opportunity to respond. The termination letter relies on probationary language, but does not negate constitutional protections when termination is based on protected speech or whistleblower activity.
Thank you.
You want me to stop?
Yeah, your time's
Okay.
up. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mayor, you got some in the back also.
Okay. Anyone else like to come up and speak? Come on. Thank you, Mike.
I'm on Rivers, sorry. We're new here and I had an incident on, I don't even know if this is the right place. I don't wanna waste anybody's time, but I came here because I was advised by the lady here next door about the food thing. Like I went to tell her, I want to sell, like tamales and stuff, you know? But she said I needed, what's it called, like the license, the Texas license and stuff, but I don't have a truck. Like, I just wanna sell like the other ladies, you know, like to make a little extra. And she told me, well, go talk to the sheriff, go and do this. Because nobody had called this cop, he's the one that told me on Wednesday, February 11th. He stopped by and he said, we were selling, you know, like burritos and tamales.
And he said, I seen you here, like a week already, but I couldn't come and stop and tell you anything because I don't know the rules. So I'm guessing he's new or I don't know. But then he asked for my husband's license and stuff, and they ran like the plates and everything. But in the meanwhile, he was telling me about his daughter and whatever. I mean, I could tell him a lot of things too, you know, like about what I'm going through. That's why I'm trying to work. I my husband can't work right now. He's on unemployment, so I'm trying to make a little extra. And he's the one that accompanies me because I get up at 4 in the morning and I cook. Excuse me. And I'm only there like 1 or 2 hours, you know, like selling
Great.
food. Sorry, it's just that
You're
I'm
good.
mad and
Take your time.
full
You're
of
good.
punches. Well, anyways, I went to the sheriff's office and he advised me come talk to my husband that is, but I haven't had a chance either because my husband can't get another he's on unemployment because he can't get, you know, like he has to be going to these appointments, and if he gets a job they're not gonna let him go to appointments. I have this teenager that he's in this academy because he's trying to do better. I can't get a record, so I'm not gonna go up to you and tell you, oh, excuse me, I have to go on March, I have to go in May, and like not work these days, or also in June until he graduates, you know? So I don't think anybody will give me a job knowing that. Well, anyways, I don't know what I have to do to sell food.
Mike, is there a way you can come back and sit and visit? with
Yeah,
Bill
if you want, you can come back tomorrow and ask for somebody in code enforcement. And they can kind of tell you what you need to do and they'll kind of step you through.
Okay, yeah, because I didn't think that was fair for that cop to say instead of investigating other things like drugs and all that, you know, here.
So if you come
He's
either,
investigating me,
yeah,
people
if you
that are
come
trying to
either
work.
tomorrow or Monday, depending. But when you come to the dispatch, just ask for a code enforcement officer.
Yeah, because, I'm sorry, just one more minute. I would understand if somebody had called him, you know, like from the property or something, but no, he stopped by and he said himself, oh, I'm the one that had to investigate for a week, and, you know, I mean, what cop does that?
What was your
Bother
name, ma'am?
people.
What was your name?
My name's Christina. Thank you very much.
I'm Officer Ramirez again with the Weed City Code Enforcement. If you want to come talk to me directly tomorrow, I'm more than happy to walk you through the process of what you need to obtain, how you can go about obtaining it. Don't even get you up to the following the ordinances. That's probably why that officer stopped, was because they see the ordinances. We need to make sure our vendors have the proper licenses, registrations, things like that.
Yeah.
So if you weren't being, I just don't want you to feel like you were targeted or anything, but I'm happy to discuss this further with you tomorrow.
Yeah, I didn't feel targeted. I just felt that was unnecessary, like for him to just stop by, you know, I'm not doing a crime or nothing.
Thank you.
So yes, ma'am.
Thank
I'll
you.
see you tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan. Do we have any other speakers tonight? You've done a great job. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. So if y'all don't mind, I'm gonna postpone executive session. We'll just move on so we can have more public interaction. Number 9 is consent agenda. You have in the packet somebody have to say? Thank you. So you'll have your minutes, your accounts payable and investment reports. I'll give you a chance to kind of glance back over them again if you have any questions before we make a motion to accept the consent agenda item.
Get the minutes, just sign it.
I find I'm sorry they were big.
Thank you.
But that's okay, I appreciate you getting it to us. We bought the fire department an ATV, was that for grass fires?
Yes, they were used for grass fires. They received a $25,000 grant. That's gonna go offset it.
We didn't buy that.
Okay,
Grant bought most of it.
Yeah, Grant brought most.
That's fantastic.
The city did not buy it. They
Yeah.
just made the initial payment. We applied for the state grant, paid for the majority of it, and then fire department out of their own pocket is paying the remaining balance. The city just, since it's gonna be registered and the city has to insure it, they have to pay for it and then they'll get the money back on.
Okay, that's a fantastic
Yeah.
asset to the fire department.
Another good use of grant, Joe. Good job.
What is the Depot 6 300 Lego coins?
Those are, I believe those are, challenge points on Facebook.
Okay.
They have challenge points.
There was one that says, H broke, it was a gas line over on Martin Street, 71440, and then under, about 4 rows down, repair the gas line. And it was 6,500. Well, hang on there. It's a gas line H broke.
Oh, yes, we had a sanitation truck hit a gas line. And so we ended up having to repair, I think they pulled the meter out. Yeah, it was a pretty major deal.
$7,200, okay.
How many months is this for Thomas Gonzalez Consulting?
It's $9,500 a month. So I need to take a look to see what it is, but I don't know if it was 2 months or.
Part of the service agreement.
Yeah, it's part of the service agreement.
When can we expect him to come report to us?
I'm glad you asked that question. He came in this week and is working with the team. And currently they are scheduled the team is currently scheduled to present in March, the goals that we have. What he ended up doing is dividing out the goals, and we have our team members that have kind of grouped together, and they will do a presentation to you in our March meeting.
Great.
How long have they been working on that part?
Oh my gosh, it's been, started last year.
Good.
So I think it started whenever, we had the strategic planning session. That's right.
What can we expect to see from the remodeling at the PD?
You'll be able to see what you see outside in the hallway now.
Okay.
They've started on that already. If you'd like, I'd love to be able to open up the door and let you see.
Right.
Today, they were, laying the flooring down. So I can open the door, you can see what they've done. But the flooring is still wet because they just glued it down today. But yeah, it'd be great for you to
We
take a
can
look at.
step in there on our way to executive session.
So a continuation of the
Continuation what you see
remodel
right now.
that we can.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is Texas DSDU? It's not that, it was $918, but Contreras and then, Apollo.
Charles Ford.
I saw his name and his was Boots. Contreras is Boots.
Yeah. What page are you on? Yeah, it may be child support.
It is.
It may end up being that.
That's what CSD means.
So they paid that.
Yes.
I know there's several on here that says, out, but I just, it's the video thing.
Yeah, it's the child support division out of OG.
All right.
And then the FBI training.
FBI training.
Yes, we have 3 officers scheduled to attend the FBI Trilogy Academy.
What is that?
It's a 3-part leadership training for command staff.
Okay.
And once they complete that, then we can apply to try to get them into the FBI National Academy.
Fantastic. How cool.
Yes, ma'am.
And then we had the Federal Sign Corporation, that's the sirens, are they in?
Yes, but well, we started that process. And so we signed the PO. I'm sorry, I gave them the PO. It's been paid for now, but that's gonna be the new outdoor warning system that we have. They're still saying it's gonna take about 4 months before they can get it manufactured and get it here and get the installation done.
Okay,
So we're still looking at probably, I'm gonna venture probably June, July before we get it installed.
but they're paid for and
Yes,
waiting on them to come in and be installed.
correct. And that was a part of what was in the budget. We knew that we were gonna have that.
Okay.
Teacher, I would like to see on the sanitation, because we are having a lot of expense, knocking down fences, breaking down lines.
Yeah.
We kind of get a report of how many we do monthly, how many dumpsters we're running over, or how many lines. Sanitation.
I'm tracking the drivers as well,
Yes.
incidents and whatever reported driver.
Yeah, we have them when we do, the
So we're-
work and we do the
we see
invoices.
addresses.
I write the driver's names on the report then.
Okay.
I like that, and that's a report.
The public work report.
Yes.
Now, next motion, if everybody's ready.
Have a motion to accept the consent agenda item?
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second to accept, consent agenda item that's presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. Number 10 is new business, presentation of an audit by Bollinger, Seeger, Gilbert, and Moss for the fiscal year 2025.
Mayor Council, this is the annual audit that we received. We have Tyler Kennedy here, we have Board Singer, Gilbert and Moss. I was hoping that we'd be after 7 because he said he wasn't gonna be here till then, so we were lucky that he's just sitting here and providing an audit.
I drove in from Johnson City, so I'm a little bit,
And I can just pass it down.
okay.
All right. You need a copy?
I brought my homework.
Everybody get it?
Oh, thanks, sir. We're ready.
All right, well, so this is our second year, I'm doing this audit. And for those of y'all who don't know me, I'm Tyler Kennedy. Work for the firm Bollinger, Seeger, Gilbert and Moss, and we're out of Lubbock, Texas. A little bit of a hike over here, and I was coming from Johnson City, so I appreciate y'all giving me some grace on the gravel. So we have in front of you the audit report. I'd like to mention, when we got the call last year, it was a little bit late in the cycle, so I think we're here over the summer. Giving our audit report on the September 30, 2024 financial statements. So these are the September 30, 2025 financial statements. And really, I think if we get these out the door before 6 months, it's kind of a big deal in the governmental sector. So the audit report is thick. We were different than the firms y'all got out here prior to us. And I think anytime you change audit firms, you get maybe a different view on how things are done or what they're concerned with. So really, a part of this presentation, I break down into kind of two areas. We have the financial side, right? We're giving you an opinion on financial statements. Are the assets and the liabilities, are those fairly stated? And then we have the controls and compliance that we do as a part of our testing. So I always like to start with the harder part and then go into the financial statement. So the controls, we have, several areas that we talk about those, but, our report on those that we issue to the readers of the financial statement starts on page 62 of the financial statements. And is required to be a bound part of the audit that is dispersed to everyone. So on page 62, we have a letter in front of y'all. This is what we call our standards report on internal controls and compliance. Cities, the regulatory burden on cities is tough, especially if you have debt, billing, all of the laws that go along with running a city certainly are tough. And this letter kind of goes into what do we do and what do we not do as your auditor. So if you read through here, really, there's a couple of caveats that we talk about in this letter. The caveats are, we receive financial information from y'all as you engage us to do. We receive that financial information. Our job is to take a look at that financial information and determine where we need to spend most of our time, right?
So we develop procedures based on risk. So does that mean that we're looking at everything that the city does? That does not. That means we're sampling, we're testing things that we believe have the highest risk of misstatement or the highest risk of control failure. So if you read through the letter, I think you would notice that we give you assurance that we would report anything that we would find. But that which we did not find, certainly we're not to be held accountable for if it's outside of the procedures that we performed as a part of the audit. So for 2025's audit, we do have several findings that we report to y'all starting on page 64. And we can kind of go through those. And certainly if you'll have any questions that you want to go through here, I'm happy to field questions. The finding for 2025 is probably not totally fair since I reported to y'all in the summer of 2025 on last year's audit. So, you know, we were doing our procedures pretty late in the game for the September 30, 2024 audit. So it's hard to change some of these things in a month or two, right? Before we're moving on to September 30, 2025's audit. And I would kind of classify this one. We still think that utility billing needs a rehaul. We think that all the accounts on your system need to be reworked and made sure they're in compliance with the rates and provision that you adopt as part of your ordinances annually. So we would still recommend that, and that's really the basis for finding 2025-01. Certainly, as a part of our testing, you know, there are certain bills that we pull, streetlights to the thing. So there's things in there that I think should just be reviewed top to bottom, account by account. 2025-02 internal controls. So, you know, as a part of good financial information, a review process is certainly a thing that needs to be in place, right? Even if you have the best employee, they're probably only going to get everything right 95% of the time. So anytime you're posting financial information as a part of a journal entry, we certainly think somebody else needs to look over that information before it's posted to the financial statement. And so developing a control process that has that in mind is something that we would be pushing for moving for September 2026 audit. 2025-03 is pool cash disbursement fund bank reconciliation. So the bank reconciliation was an issue for September 30, 2025 year end. It's something that is certainly important. It's the only proof you can do that makes sure everything that clears your bank is posted correctly onto your financial statements. So anytime you have a bank reconciliation that's not working, it certainly raises red flags. So we worked through that with staff. We're comfortable with where it ended, but there's certainly that, you know, it's certainly something that needs to be invested in, you know, financially with personnel, financially with whoever you can get there to make sure that that process is happening correctly, timely, and thoroughly. It's something that, you know, something that ongoing here for the city of Kermit. So, you know, we deal with Leanne a lot, certainly not an employee here consulting for the city. So I think having somebody with that sort of knowledge is good. You know, we're not saying that it's her versus another human, but certainly having somebody that can cover that financial information and make sure it's being done correctly is as important as you could say for the accounting side of the city's financial statements. And then lastly, this is kind of a housekeeping thing, development of policies and procedures for the accounting area. So this is like the explanation of, you know, if we have turnover in personnel, should there be a drop off in the way that the city's operations are ran between employee and employee, right? And the answer is probably if you don't have policies and procedures in place that are documented with what do we do every single month as a part of preparing financial statements to make sure they're as accurate as they can be, providing information for you all to make decisions based off of, right? So we think that a development process for the accounting side on procedures, monthly procedures that are written, documented, and followed is certainly something that could strengthen the accounting area here at the city. So those are the things we see. Certainly, I'm happy to follow up on any of those things that I'm saying, and happy to hear feedback. That's our point of view. we think that it's right to include it, so we included it.
Like we,
Appreciate y'all's help. You know, no matter
Yeah.
what.
Thank you for the detailed information.
Uh,
go ahead, Tom.
no,
We have asked for a rate review, right? Utility rate review.
We had our first meeting this week.
Okay.
And so we've engaged New Gen Strategies that will begin the utility rate study, which actually covers the very, 2025-01. So that is now being addressed, which I think we had that conversation. I think Leanne, I think also mentioned that we started that study. The bank recon, I can tell you that there was a period of time, if you're familiar, Leanne wasn't here for about 3 or 4 months. And so we were bobbling our head back and forth, I think, and under a few times. And then she came back, and so it was a matter of her getting back up to speed, which she wasn't able to get everything done before the audit, but of course, that's something that she is working on. And so the privileges, we just need to be much more prudent about ensuring that the privileges into the Tyler Tech accounting system, financial system, is a little more stringent. I don't believe everyone has access to it. There's a certain number, limited number that do. But I think we need to be much more prudent about ensuring that if they were to leave, that we make sure that they get off and we disable them immediately.
Tyler mentioned softwares. Are we where we need to be on software? Are we got some updates coming? Are we lacking?
Well, I think that one of the things that we have is that right now with Tyler Technologies, we're on what they call ERP 9. I would like to move us to ERP 10, which is a fully engulfed web-based type system. But it does have a price tag to it. And so we weren't able to include it in this year's budget, but we would probably be looking at next year's budget, trying to move into ERP 10, which has got some more flexibility. As far as that's concerned, it gives an opportunity for, as an example, for Leanne to simply jump online and do work for us. Right now, she's got to go through some hoops and jumps and get what we call Parallels client to get on the system. If that's down, she's running into problems. But ERP 10 basically is a website she would go to. So we are wanting to update our system and move into the latest and greatest, which is for Tyler Technologies ERP 10.
Do you have a rough idea on how much that is?
No, but they've told me to be sitting down whenever they give me price tag.
It just seems that we have struggled in the internal control part, I think even prior years. We not just have the right software, or do we need to reevaluate? I mean, I know we keep spending on Tyler and I mean, is that?
And I don't think the internals are really not a software problem, is it?
well, I would say that, well, to answer your question as directly as I could, I would say that accounting software is only get you so far.
Mm.
You know, there's only so many things that a software can do for you when you're talking about compliance with accounting policies that are prescribed. There's certain things you just got to do manually. It can only carry you 75% of the way per se, even if it's the best out there. And so, even if you have everything as good as it could get inside of your accounting software, you still got the human factor that we also need to be probably more focused on than the rights and privileges. And Tyler, certainly those are important when it comes to like billing and fraud risk that's related to billing, where a lot of the cash flows are coming from.
And it would be a matter also of ensuring that if we have one individual that accepts the money, which we have that in place, that they count it and somebody else double checks it, yet somebody else takes it to the bank. Those are the type of internal controls that we have. As an example, also, there's a very limited number of people that can go into the vault, and I'm not one of them. So that number going into, those are the type of internal controls that would help us out and our side to ensure that we have that, so that when the auditor comes in, they know, okay, well, who had access to this? Well, it was only this person and this person.
I want to say that I think we're just really moving in the right direction, that we even have 32 journal entries, because when I got on this council, it was 150 something, I believe, journal entries in 1 year.
Yes.
So we are definitely moving in the right direction, but are you telling us that Leanne needs help? Leanne needs a double check? Is that what
Well, I think my job is to give y'all the ability to like peruse your risk appetite for issues, right? Y'all's job, I would say, would be to invest as you see fit. And I bring the information as I see it to you, right? I certainly wouldn't make a recommendation of that nature, as a part of the thing that I'm doing as the auditor.
Okay,
Fair enough.
good information.
Anything else yet? All right, thank you.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, I did want to mention a couple of different things too. I'm so sorry. I know I'm a little long-winded. Just financially, some changes this year, if you read through the financial statements that I just like you to be aware of. And certainly we don't have to turn to the pages. One of the deals is the volunteer fire department here in Kermit is a part of the Texas Emergency Services Retirement System. It's not a heavy burden to the city, as far as annual cash flows to be a part of that program and provide that retirement benefit to those folks. But this year, we keep our eye on it. The pension liability, right? We have to estimate what will this cost the city over a long period of time. This year, that liability pressed the threshold for things we need to pay attention to. And so if you read through the audit report, you should notice mention of that actuarial liability having to be accrued in the financial statements for 2025's audit. And certainly that is a large undertaking because there's 10 years worth of disclosures that go along with that as far as the funded status of your portion of that liability. And then the next thing is that we're also disclosing to you all the leasing activity that the city is currently getting into. So there's a lot of accounting requirements that goes with the leasing activities, and those were substantial compared to 2024's audit. So another kind of large change and burden to the audit process, if you will, for 2025's audit anyways. So whether or not you're buying it or paying it outright, we tend to account for it the same way. You get the full value of the asset, we depreciate that, and then you either pay it all at once or you pay it out over the life. That's how the accounting side looks at it, right? No matter how you structure the cash flows. So those are the two major changes if I was to point y'all to anything. And certainly we're still early in the year, so if y'all read it and you have more questions, I'd be happy to come back and entertain anything you might have.
And from the leasing standpoint, I can tell you it makes sense because even though we received some of the vehicles in the summer of 24, the lease payments, at least began in like September of 24. So there was very little in fiscal year 24, and then the bulk of it hit in fiscal year 25, which is what Tyler's reporting about there. So it makes sense. So. Yeah.
So I would certainly leave y'all with that, and if y'all have more, I'm happy to visit with y'all about anything you may find.
Are we taking all the depreciation on the first year then?
So really for governments, just generally industry wide, we would just set those up straight line over the estimated life.
Okay.
And instead of
5 year, what do you think?
Yeah, so like 5 to 7 years would be reasonable on like a truck, and then if it's like a larger piece of equipment, we're looking 10 to 12 years. But we're not really focused on like accelerated or full time depreciation. We're really just trying to match it with the cash flows that may be generated by the UC.
Right, of course.
And that's primarily done for tax purposes.
Right.
Well, it's so these financial statements are really broken down into two separate areas, right? We have the government-wide financial statements. So if you're reading through, it's those first two. And in those first two, the financial information in there is what you would see the business. It has all of your assets and long-term liabilities, and those are depreciated on those in those first two schedules. If you go further back, we get into the fund financial statements. In those fund financial statements, that's the information that you would find in the Tyler software. So if you're going into the Tyler software, that's going to be like your water and sewer fund, your general fund, and those actually the assets in those funds are expensed and instead of set up in the. And we gave a clean opinion. I guess I should say that too. And we gave a clean opinion on the financial statements.
Anything else for Doug?
Thank you.
Tyler, thanks. We really appreciate y'all. We'll dive into it and see if we can make you drive back up here.
Well, Yeah, that's right. That's right. I'd be happy to come see y'all. So if you need me to, whatever it may be, I'd be happy to come spend some time in Bourbon. Appreciate y'all being so gracious about being late, and we appreciate y'all's business at BSG.
And I echo council, thank y'all for everything you've done to get us where we're at and continue to get us better.
Well, I wouldn't take much credit for that. I think it's probably the crew you have here doing most of the change. We're just maybe with the firefighters in the back. I don't know.
Good to hear. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Drive safe.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Todd.
Thank you so much. We don't have to accept that all, do we, Mike?
No, it's just presentation.
So item B on the agenda is discuss and consider reappointment and or appointment to the City of Kermit Board of Adjustments. We have 4 terms that are currently expiring at the end of this month. Leo Morales, I'm gonna name them all and then we can kind of talk about it. Leo Morales, Councilman James Underwood, Shannon Hedrick, and Dan Seal, all their terms expire at the end of February 2026. Has anybody been in conversation or consulting with any of them, see if they'd like to be reappointed?
I spoke with Leo. He said he would like to continue.
Okay.
Dan would like to continue also.
Okay.
How about you?
I'll
Mr.
continue
Underwood?
also.
What about Shannon? Has anybody spoke with her or care to speak with her before?
She hasn't been to several of our meetings, so
Okay.
I don't know if she's in line.
So we have, we'll make a motion as a individual, Mike, on those, we'll make individual motions. Do I hear anybody want to maybe suggest anyone else to take Shannon's spot at the end of February? Any recommendations or thoughts? Is she?
I don't.
Whose district is she from?
I don't know if they were necessarily assigned by district.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's rough.
so Robbins area.
I didn't know, are they district specific? They're not.
Yeah.
Oh. I don't cover.
Do we have to fill that spot tonight?
No, with the 3 appointments we have, that will at least get us quorum. I mean, give me all, we'll find another.
We still have Sandy Green also.
Okay. So do I hear a motion to accept Leo Morales to extend his term on the Board of Adjustment?
I'll make a motion to accept Leo Morales for an extended term.
A motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
I hear a motion to reappoint Councilman James Underwood to a continued term on Board of Adjustment.
I'll make a motion to appoint James Underwood to serve another term.
Second.
A motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
And Mr. Dan Seal, same thing, reappointment, extended term on the Kermit Board of Adjustments.
I'll make a motion, Dan Seal.
I'll second.
A motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
And if y'all don't mind between now and next month, if y'all want to toss around some names and see if anybody's willing to jump in there. Set it on that one. Moving on to the same thing, discuss, consider reappointment and or appointment to the City of Kermit Planning and Zoning Commission. We have 1, 2 that are expiring. Councilmember Karina Chavez, her term ends at the end of February 2026. And Mr. Lloyd Stanley, same thing. Do we have, has anybody been able to speak to any of those folks?
Royce, I believe, is willing to serve again.
What about Ms. Karina? Will she serve again? Oh. So we'll go ahead and take those motions. To have a motion to extend the term or reappoint the term of Councilmember Karina Chavez to the Board of Planning and Zoning Commission, I'm sorry.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
A motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
And Mr. Roy Sin, same thing, reappoint to an additional term on the Kermit Planning and Zoning Commission. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to appoint Royce Sin.
James Underwood second for his first.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Thank you. Congratulations. That's first. Oh, item D on new business, discuss and receive presentation from Bosque Advisors regarding a plan of finance to issue up to $19 million in City of Kermit, Texas, water, sewer, and solid waste disposal system revenue bonds, Series 2026, to finance capital projects in lieu of issuing certificates of obligation payable from ad valorem taxes, and providing direction to city staff and consultants to proceed with plan of finance. Are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Mayor, for having me and councilors. For the record, my name is Mark Valenzuela. I'm the managing principal for Bosque Advisor. So we have some presentations that we've sent out, and we'll just, I think we could just hand them down. And we'll walk through.
Gave them all to me.
walk through these.
Oops. I'm so sorry.
Maybe we can hand those out.
I
Stop.
Look, I have a lot of.
I thought it was a big package.
Thank you.
Okay, so I just, and I'll say that this presentation in front of you is not prescriptive. These pieces can be moved around as you and the administration want to do related to the water infrastructure improvements. So let me just take you to slide 2. You know, we received communication from your city manager. The new look at the infrastructure costs has increased. And so we just generally rose all the prior numbers by 60%, just to show what the new infrastructure cost would be potentially. So we're looking at about $75 million for infrastructure improvements and the water and wastewater utility throughout the city. And this is just detail of that. I won't go through that in any amount of detail. It's a conversation that the engineers will take you through as you start moving through these projects. I will say on slide 3, I was pleased to hear the conversation on the audit. We're going to be interested in getting the new audit and updating for 2025, the numbers you see on page 3. But page 3 basically looks at your water revenues. And we do in finance world what we call net system revenue analysis. That's what you're looking at right here. It basically says that after core operational maintenance costs of your utility, after those are paid for, how much revenue is remaining to be used to commit to paying for debt. It's one thing that bond rating agencies look at. It's certainly something that investors look at. And so they're looking for more income, obviously, than what the annual debt payment would be. And in this case, at 2024, there was just more than $3 million of net revenue that would be available to make debt payments. And I'm going to show you the importance of that here in a moment. We can go to slide 4. Again, this is really the kind of the plug and play of this, and it's not prescriptive. It's just to put information out. And this is really up to you and up to your city manager and administration to really guide us. But what we wanted to show is how a $75 million program could be financed over time. And the caveat here is that we're talking all about financing. There are opportunities to lower the financing, total financing, with the use of grant programs that the state of Texas provides, or low cost interest programs that they also provide through the Texas Florida Development Fund. So we're giving you the worst case conservative view of the world. We believe that as this is all built out over time, that the financing would not be a total 75 million. We think it'll be some amount lower than that. But again, we're giving you the more conservative worst case scenario right now. And so under this theory here, it's in the first year you would sell 12 million or maybe 19 million of water revenue bonds. These bonds would be repaid with the revenues that come into the utilities. This is not paid for with property tax. This is all on the utility. So the infrastructure improvements are being paid for by the ratepayers who are getting the benefit of those infrastructure improvements. So year 1, maybe 12 to 19 million. Year 2, 28 million. Again, these numbers can move depending on what the construction build out looks like for the city. 7 million in 28, and then another 28 million in 29, which rounds out to 75 million. Breaking it up into different pieces, it doesn't put the burden on the ratepayers immediately. You're allowed to work into that. We can optimize the structure more than we're showing you here. I always use the example, it's more of a fine-tuned machine program, optimizing your bond program. And then again, you get to tie it out to when construction is happening. So you're not paying interest on the full 75 million in year 1. You're tying it to when you're ready to start building and improve the infrastructure. That's when we issue the bonds. So just kind of developing this and also in light of what your city manager mentioned earlier, that the rate study is starting to move forward. And we recognize that there will be recommendations about rate increases, in the coming months for the utility. And we're going to show you without taking into account for what those rate increases would be, kind of where this program lines up. So on page 5, you have existing debt. And so if I could sort of steer your eyes to the left side of the page, that slight light blue column, existing debt payments. Now, in a prior presentation, I've recommended, and I still recommend that, but I'm showing it to you here just for the conversation. I'm recommending that you use your excess cash right now to pay that debt off and clear out any terms that are associated with that existing debt. You save about $150,000 in interest if you do that. But for this conversation and being more conservative, we're going to leave it in there. And so you'll see the net utility revenues. I just showed you that on a couple prior slides of 3 million. We have not grown that at all, so it's flat. We're not making any assumptions about a rate increase or growth in the city. We're just taking what the 2024 number is as available income to pay the debt, paying the existing debt, and then we're going to add in 12 million in year 1 this year. Again, you get to decide this and you get to approve this. But if we did the 12 million, and again, we're being conservative, we're looking at a 30-year structure, we can shorten this and maybe save a little bit more on that. But as you add that in year 2026, you'd go from a $600,000 payment to close to 1.5 million with that new $12 million of debt. What I really want to focus you in on is that far right column, that debt service coverage. So what this number means is and if you look at 2026, it means that you have 2 times the amount of revenue to make those bond payments. From a credit quality perspective, bond rating agencies and investors, they like to see it at least 1.25. That's a good quality credit if they have a 1.25 times coverage, meaning you have 1.25 times income to make that payment. And as you follow that line all the way down, your lowest years after issuing this first 12 million, the lowest it goes is 2 times coverage. So fairly strong. The point here is the city can move forward now without waiting for the outcome of the rate study. It's affordable under the current structure without having to raise rates to do the first 12 million. We've run numbers, they're just not in front of you. You can do 19 million in this scenario as well and still maintain quality coverage. Slide 6, we're looking at the next year. So assuming that we just did the 12 million, and then, again, the plan is issue another 28 million in year 2 for all those infrastructure projects. And you can see what the annual payments would look like for that 28 million. And you'll notice that on the far right, you're starting to see some red. And those first few years where we're just below 1 times coverage, meaning we don't have enough revenue to make that bond payment. But again, I will point out that the recommendation is to get rid of the existing debt. Once we pay that off, you would return to positive. You'd return to like 1.1 times coverage. It's still doable in the market. It's not going to be as strong of a credit at that time. But what we're not considering in this year, we expect that the rate study will be completed. You will have taken action on if it recommended increase in rates. And so there will be additional revenue there that would likely cover that. Slide 7 is just carrying it out for another year. So this is then the additional 7 million on top of what we've already done. And you can start seeing that it's all red. It's slightly below 1 times. So we need the rate study. Or we need the rate structure increase to really make this affordable as we go to the 3rd year. And then finally the 4th year. And you see that it's at 0.6 roughly. So it just can't do the full 75 million unless there's new rate revenue to support the debt. So having said that, we also have an alternative option, what we call a bond cycle program, where you can go out to 75 million, stretch out another year, 15 million a year. And again, tie this to your construction letting schedule. There's some opportunities here to really manage through the revenue, optimize it, shorten some of the debt, and just save more interest cost. And so we just wanted to share that with you. Again, we believe in structuring these programs so that it gives the city the most amount of flexibility to either get other grant programs to manage the low interest on them, and just together the most effective financing structure for the city. So this is one other alternative. And on 10, we're just sharing the data with you, the numbers. Either way, on 10, you see that it's pretty red the whole way. And so the point of this is depending on what the outcome of the rate study is, if it's going to be a $75 million program, it's going to need increases in rate revenues for the utility. So, and again, just to be clear, this has nothing to do with property tax. This is all out of the utility and paid for infrastructure to support the utility. So I know I went through that very quickly. I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody, either mayor, you or the councilors have. And so I'll stand for your questions.
And that's showing like a 4-year construction schedule, like we thought before. It could be an 8-year, a 10-year. Just laying the groundwork for addressing this elephant in the room, so to speak. Just to be clear, we are not raising anybody's water bills. Nothing's gonna get raised next month. Senior citizens aren't getting their water cut off. That rate review very well could come back and tell us to reduce in some areas. So this is just a step.
So the 12 million was a 2-inch.
That's correct. I passed out the OPC given to us by Park Hill.
Okay.
And you'll notice that the 2-inch galvanized line, that's what we recommended be swapped out immediately. Then we go through the line replacement on that. That's just looking at a price tag of a little over 12 million. And then below that, we have all the cast iron pipe, which is another area of concern to go through and replace, because that cast iron pipe has been in the ground for a while. And to replace all the 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 cast iron, then we got the the raw water lines. That's a price tag of about little over 28 million. Now, I can tell you this, in the discussions that I've had with Park Hill, if the city chose to stop right there, then we would be able to get by for, they can't predict, but I'm throwing a number out there, 30, 40 years. But eventually, the future is going to have to address the asbestos cement and the PVC pipe. They will have to address it. Of course, by that time, you're talking about a whole lot higher cost. As you can see, the asbestos pipe, the AC pipe, for the 4, 6, 8, 12, that's a price tag of about 15.5 million.
Yep.
And then the PVC pipe that we have, 2, 4, 6, and 8, that's a price tag of a little over 18 million. And that's where they get to the almost 75, 73.8. And that would be to go through there and replace every single line, every single valve in the city. And it's at the very bottom number, 73.8. That's for the entire system. Now, the concern that we have and the need for this is that 2-inch line. The 2-inch galvanized pipe, that's what we find to be the most critical of replacement that needs to happen. And so that's where you get the $12 million price tag. You notice that this discussion we have is for 19 million being on a utility revenue bond. That would be moving the solid waste transfer station, which is price tag about 7, and moving that into a utility revenue bond, which would then decrease the recommended COs that we're looking at, that we had talked about, from 32 down to 25. And so, because we're simply going to move the solid waste, because we can pay for that out of sanitation rates.
And that's legal for us to move that
Yes, ma'am.
off of it and into this.
Yeah, it's simply a transfer of the revenue stream. It will no longer be on property tax.
Right.
And now be based on the sanitation rates.
Okay, I just didn't know since we did that last month, if that's legal for us to move.
Yeah, we can change. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's the reason you see a discussion now of 19 million on the utility revenue bonds, would be because it would take care of the water and the solid waste transfer station. Now, the recommendation the presentation that you have before you by Bosque Advisors gives you a scenario of saying, okay, if we cover the 12 million, that's the initial, But then we look at the other 28, and that's the next step. When do we want to do that? Of course, I'm repeating, I'm actually preaching to the choir here. The longer we wait, the higher price tag goes. The longer we wait, possibility of the financing rate increases. So there's a lot of variables in here. You know, if we take it all right now, almost $75 million issuance. But I think the critical one we do have to look at is at least the 12. And then I would say that we want to strongly consider the next level, the 28 million, possibly in next year's series. So we would tackle this series first, which would be the 2-inch galvanized pipe. And then next year, we will probably come back to you and recommend that we now take the next step to cover the other 28 million, which would cover all of the cast iron pipe as well.
Right, let's say we don't pay off our old debt, but New Gen comes and does our rate study, then do you think there's a probability that all the numbers on the 28 million will be black?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
And
Even
again,
if there's that much wrong in our rates.
and a part of what that we're talking with New Gen, what they will do, they'll work with staff. And just so you know, it was myself, Norma, Becky, and Jaime was in that meeting with New Gen. And I believe Mark was on there. We also had Rudy Segura, who's a bond attorney. A part of that is that we can begin to start, once they figure out the utility rates to see, are we where we need to be? We need to look at additional. Then at that point in time, we can have a discussion about the residential rates as opposed to commercial rates. You know, inside city limits as opposed to inside ETJ, outside ETJ. So we'll begin to start having those discussions. And so you may see some variables and some variants start coming in on what we're looking at as far as recommendations for if there's any type of rate changes. So it's gonna be, the whole thing's gonna be pretty wide open that we're gonna take a look at and be able to look at that and say, you know what, the council may be, comfortable with just doing across the board, rate if needed. I think Mark has already said that it's all things being equal, we can take on a $12 million issuance, all things being equal. So we could probably issue the revenue bonds and begin to start working on the $12 million project fairly quickly. Once we move into the higher debt structure, then we have to now begin to start taking a look at that. But that could be a part of the New Gen study where we say, you know what, we want to try to keep residential rates, level, which means that we may have to start looking at commercial rates, depending on how much water volume we have there, inside ETJ, outside ETJ, what do those rates look like? So there's a lot of different variables that we can have.
I was, on these, the existing debt, I was thinking it was a little bit lower than that, because if that was the water bond.
There's two items, Mayor and Councilor. There's two existing loans outstanding right now.
And that encompasses both of them, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
One is the sewer funds, correct?
Right. That's being paid on the sewer.
Yeah. So when you take those two outstanding bonds, I believe that's the total that you're seeing there on the outstanding debt.
What is that outstanding debt?
What?
What is that outstanding debt?
2.7.
2.7 million roughly with interest. And those were both COs that were, I think, first initially in 2018 and 2021, something like that, were both COs.
Yeah.
Maybe earlier than that, but they were both COs that were issued.
And
by
19.
19.
What's the interest rate on
You know, off the top of your head, the interest rate.
What's the interest rate on
I don't know.
So it's probably, I'm probably about 3.5%.
Probably or is?
Well, I need to look.
We don't know. I don't have the information.
Yeah, that wasn't part of
I would
this.
say it'd be no more than 4.
It's not more than 4. If you pay it off with cash, you save about 150,000.
But it reduces your ready cash.
What you have before us, those are payments with interest.
Yes, yes, that's totally.
So,
When is
paying
it
off
due to
your
pay off?
existing.
Hold on.
So I do.
So paying off your existing debt, changes your DS coverage.
Yes, ma'am.
Right.
And I was lucky that Mark brought his right-hand person with him. We have a 2008 series. that was initially at the original par was almost 4.6 million. That's got a coupon rate of 2.85 currently.
285.
285. We also have a 19 series that was issued for 3.2, almost 3.3 million. That has a rate currently it'd be about it'd be 1.9522 depending on where it is, but
Just under 2% on the other one.
so yeah, so it's not good.
What if you take one of them off and not the other?
Yeah, it'll fluctuate your DS rate.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but I want to get through. Did you have any other questions?
That's what it was.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. Mike, if council did decide later on to do the 12 million, is once we start construction, are we out of the running for any kind of grants?
No.
Okay.
No,
It's
this,
still,
yeah, we would simply, so what has to happen is that we have to work with Park Hill to begin to start developing the engineering plan for this, and then we can take that and submit it to the Water Development Board, which at that point in time, we will be applying for grants to see if there's anything available. Even at that, as Mark was mentioning, you know, we may get our bond rating, which we're working on, and the bond rating may come back and say triple B, and you can get a rate of, say, 4.5. But then we go to the Water Development Board and they says, yeah, at $12 million, we get you a rate of 1.6. Well, we're gonna go to Water Development Board because we save money. And so we won't even bother going out to the bond market. In that case, we'll just go to Water Development Board.
But we could, if we decided to pay off one of the existing loans, we could to affect the DS code.
Yes, sir.
We could,
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, if we pull funds, let's say pay off the one that was 2.1 million or something that we still owed on the, what that was, water bond.
Mhm.
And pay it off, but then that would still add a little bit of help to the DS.
That's correct.
And the, if I'm not mistaken, I think what I'm seeing in the report is that on the $12 million issuance, there's not going to be, the DS rate is not really affected by it whatsoever, whether we pay it or not pay it. It's not affected by it.
When you
It's
start
not
adding
until we
another
get to the larger
Oh, okay.
issuances that we see a change
Yeah.
in the DS rate.
It's really affected in the last.
Yeah.
The last 2 pages.
Right. So it's a combination of probably paying off the existing debt structure. At the same time, it's the, basically, that is where the new gen strategic water study that we're doing, the utility rate study, will really come into light. I mean, it's really gonna put it forefront to what we need to do.
We paid that off, it was also added helping hand on having to go up, maybe on services.
That's correct.
Does the Texas Water
Never more than that.
care about the debt service ratio as much as the bond market?
Yes, they have requirements for you to meet, but they're more willing to have a conversation about, relaxing them. I'll also say that the interest rate we're using in this, very conservative, is a 5% rate. Texas Water Development Board will do deals at 2%. So again, we're being very conservative. We know that we can improve the pricing here, but I won't be able to tell you that until we actually get into the transaction.
But, and understand also is that the Water Development Board works with government entities that strictly do water projects, that type of stuff. When you go to the bond market, we're selling a governmental bond, and they don't really care if we are City of Dallas or the City of Kermit. To them, it's a municipal bond. That's all it is.
Straight across the board.
And so just for council to remember, like we talked about a few months ago, the 76 million now, whatever it is to replace every single water line in the city of Kermit. That does not have to be something that this council decides on right now. You can decide on the first 2-inch lines. You can decide on the next 2. It's basically just addressing that need that's coming and not just keeping our head in the sand and saying somebody else can take care of it later. So when you look at these numbers, the other 34 million or so to do all of it, that is a potential, but it is not something that has to be done in order for everything to progress. So y'all keep that in mind as you review these, same as by starting the COs a month ago or however long it's been, was able to get them to get out and start doing bond market surveys, started this process to get us to where we're at today. And like to answer your question earlier, Kelsey, any of that was just a recommendation. That was not an action. So none of those things are final. None of those things are
Right.
binding or anything. That's just to start that process. So y'all would have more information to make your decision.
I
So,
just didn't know
no, it's a great question.
if we're just looking at both, we're just looking at options.
Right. Yeah.
I noticed on the replacement on some of this cast iron, we're going like on some of them, existing size is 4-inch, we're gonna go up to 6-inch.
Yeah.
You see, like, and then like 6-inch, we're going up basically 2 inches. You know, from 4 to 6, 6 to 8, 8 to 10, or 10 to 12.
Is there a purpose?
It's
more water.
Yeah, it's the recommendation of the engineering company to
Okay.
ensure that we have the capacity.
The capacity, supply and demand.
Right, and I can tell you also right now, I believe I mentioned it, if you're aware, is that we currently have another company, Advanced Water Well Technologies, that's in town working. And they are doing some, they pulled some wells out.
Yeah.
And they did a camera survey and they're analyzing that. The plan is they're gonna pull every single well out, do a camera survey, and then come back and tell us they can acidize the pumps to make them maybe produce more, which we're hoping to be able to increase the water capacity in the city so that we don't have to drill another well in the future. We think that by increasing the capacity with our existing structure and what we currently have, the infrastructure, we'll be able to suffice the water needs in the city. But the 6-inch lines would also be able to help us in the alleys where we have it, to be able to know that we got plenty of capacity going through that opposed to the 2-inch line.
Is that what they're doing over on Bryan? And is that also out at the county park?
Yeah, that's what they've done. If you look at the one on Bryan, Houston, and then at County Park where they pulled it, you'll see the pipe laying there. Because they did a camera survey, and right now, we're waiting for the mission to come back. They'll come back out. When do they come back out, Greg? Monday. They'll be out Monday. I guess they're gonna put it all back together, and they're gonna go out and pull 3 more wells.
They did one over on that, you said.
They've got one of mine.
And they're doing them in stages so they don't take critical.
Yeah, so we don't
Yes,
take that offline.
Yeah.
I did have one quick question on the financial part. What is the city drawing on money markets for the reserves that we do have?
Our Texas Pool Prime, Mike, can you give him a number? I was thinking last year it was between 6 and 7.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what we're pulling now. I think it's,
About
I
4.2%.
think so.
4.2.
Okay, so we're making more interest on that than what we're paying on these other
Yes,
deals.
yes. And that started about a year and a half ago, Mike, a year ago when we switched over. I think a little over $1 million we've earned in interest since we switched all our money to, not all of it, but a majority of it through the investment board to Texas Pool Prime. We really started making money off of y'all's money.
Our money.
So, yeah, all of us, but yeah,
But it's not, it would be wiser to guaranteed interest rate to leave the money where it's at instead of paying these off early,
Losing
because
3%.
we'll lose. Because we may gain the 150,000 that you were saying, but how much are we gonna lose in interest?
yes, sir.
We could lose 200,000 in interest, so we lose $50,000. That's just a scenario.
Yep, perfect scenario.
That would be going backwards.
Yep.
We don't want to give $50,000 away for
Yes,
nothing.
sir. Thank you. That's a great point. Thank you. Anybody else have anything? Once again, we're not issuing $76 million at 5% tonight. We're simply a discussion point, great presentation. All your scenarios right now are very conservative, mostly worst case scenarios on rates and things till we get everything back. So just some more great information, y'all.
I do want to make one, and Mark can help me here. Understand that the recommendation that will probably come before you is to issue the utility rate bonds, is what they are. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think in talking with Rudy, because of the fact that they're based on utility structure and out of a enterprise fund, then once the council issues those bonds, we will go to market immediately with it. Okay, so the $12 million that the council says, yes, let's go and issue it and get started on this project. Then when the council says, let's do it, we'll go out and we'll sell it. Or we can say, let's get the engineering report done. Let's go to the workforce development, the water development board, and find out what they can give us, which we will do also. Understand also that historically with the water development board, when we send in that information and ask them, we have this project for $12 million. What can you do for us? They may approve it and say, yes, you're gonna get the money. But the way they line them up is that we'll have to wait till the next legislative cycle for them to get their funding. And then when they get their funding, then they say, okay, now you can have it. They'll go back in session next year, which means that the fiscal year will begin for them in September of 2027. And so that may be when the funding occurs if we choose to go the Water Development Board route. But if we think that it's a critical need that we want to do that, if the council says, you know what, let's issue the 12 million right now and get this done. And let's go ahead and apply for the 26 million with the Water Development Board. So
Wait, how long is it gonna take for us to get our bond rating back?
we're looking at what, March?
It's about a 2-month process.
2 months.
Yes, ma'am.
I figured May.
Yeah, I know that when Mark and I did it previously, it was a long process, and that was just to do refinance.
Yes, sir.
And the Texas Water Development Board's not gonna do the solid waste transfer station, right? Just the water line.
Correct.
That's right.
Yeah, I think the solid waste transfer station is gonna be our nickel.
Any other questions for Mr. Mark or Mason? Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you very much. All right, council meeting on item E on new business, discuss and consider ordinance 2601, which is regulating the location of businesses selling tobacco products and electronic smoking devices. Mr. Mike, you wanna?
Yes.
comment for us?
Mayor Council, this particular agenda item has been brought forth to you because, again, a part of what I do is when I'm going out looking at cities to see what they're doing and kind of the way that cities are moving. You'll find a lot of cities, especially with e-cigarettes, vape shops, they're trying to make sure that they regulate them and keep them away from schools primarily. But in this particular case, also a daycare. We've had an inquiry about opening up a vape shop, which is in the same location as a daycare center. And so this, in my opinion, necessitated the need to bring forth before you an ordinance that would regulate any type of what we're considering to be tobacco products or electronic smoking devices, which are the vape shops, stuff like that. There isn't a carve-out exception for pharmacies and convenience stores, because that is not the bulk of what they sell. It's just an ancillary product that they sell. But this would basically put a straight line from the property line to the proposed shop business of 1,000 feet. And so if they're within 1,000 feet, then they cannot open this particular business in that area. They have to find another place to go. And so that's what you have before you is to, and this primarily, we're doing this under what recommended by Slater, do what's called a land use regulation under the Texas Local Government Code 211. But then also the definition we pulled from the health code. But that's the reason you're looking at this particular agenda item for you. So you have the agenda summary, you also have the ordinance. And then I've also provided to you what our particular ordinance is, 8.06002, and what changes would take place in our current ordinance by adding the definitions and then also the 1,000 feet criteria.
And Mike, on this, it says that while allowing existing legally established businesses to continue operation, that's kind of a grandfather clause, right? Yeah. Can we look and see if that was in the RV ordinance when it was passed?
Yeah, someone failed to do that.
It was.
It was?
Yeah, it was.
That's what I wanna make sure of.
We RV, yeah.
So that's what you have before you now. I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
That's what you have now for you now. And this is the first reading. Of course, as you know, by charter, we have to have 2 readings and post the newspaper twice before we can have it part of our ordinances. So this is the first reading of this particular ordinance.
I move to approve ordinance 2601 on the first reading for regulating the location of businesses selling tobacco products, not electronic smoking devices.
I'll second.
The motion is second on the first reading to consider ordinance 2601 regulating the location of businesses selling tobacco products and electronic smoking devices. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Discuss and consider ordinance 2602 amending 8.03.003, the enumeration of prohibiting noise from a motor vehicle and providing for a fine. Mike?
Mayor and Council, this particular agenda item, this ordinance is, it has been brought forth by the police department. And what this is essentially, and I can tell you that at 7:23, I don't know if you heard, but somebody drove by and you heard the music, okay?
Yes.
So what this ordinance does, it says if they can hear it within 100 feet, then it's considered a violation. Which basically means that now music has to be turned down. There's a $100 fine. There's also an assumption made that the driver of the vehicle is the one considered to be operating the sound making device. And the one thing that you also see in here is that we're removing the term phonograph and simply replacing it with a sound making device. So,
I can't believe it was phonograph.
yeah, we actually still have some stuff that says facsimile. So,
If we pass it, is it gonna be enforced?
yes, I can tell you that it was requested by the police department.
It's the school zone is horrible. You get down there, I was down at East Avenue and Tommy Thompson the other day. I could hear a siren coming, but the guy behind me had his bass going so bad, I couldn't figure out if it was an ambulance coming behind me or on East Avenue. I couldn't see anything.
Right.
And then he's sitting there honking his horn because I wouldn't go.
I think the current ordinance kind of limits them from vehicle. That's why they're adding the terminology vehicle, so they can start enforcing that.
If
But-
we enforce it, that'll be great, but if we don't,
Yeah, this is actually requested by the police department.
Is this just for the radio?
it's,
Any
Not the
sound
exhaust-
making
Not the
device,
exhaust system?
any sound making device, which would be just audio.
Audio only.
Any other discussion on that for the first reading? Or we're amending, we still have two readings, right?
Yes, sir. This is actually, I'm saying, this is actually the first reading of this one.
So like, for example, there was some people a couple of weekends ago in the Lowe's parking lot singing gospel music.
Sure was.
Will they be told to shut it down?
Yes, ma'am.
it's too bad.
It was very loud.
And
Okay,
if you see,
so
if
this is not
someone,
just after 10, this is all the time.
yes, ma'am. If you see them at a park and they're sitting there and they just got the music playing, but if an officer pulls up and hear it within 100 feet, they can find them or tell them to turn it down. Because they're in
City
violation
park.
of the ordinance.
That's City Park.
City Park, I'm sorry.
I'll make a motion to go ahead and get set. On the first reading, ordinance 5.05.037. Oh, no, I'm on the wrong one. I'm on the wrong one.
Wait, I still have a question.
With
Okay.
any
Oh,
electronic
okay, I'm
devices
sorry.
anywhere.
So I have a question. So what about those that are having like gatherings at the park?
Yeah, and this is
And
only
during-
coming from motor vehicles.
Okay, that was my question. Motor vehicles. Okay, good.
Okay, it's only coming from motor vehicles.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
This is not having a boom box in the park.
No.
Okay.
Actually, we have a noise permit for that one as well, but that's a different conversation. We're only talking about anything emitting from a motor vehicle.
Okay.
So my house is safe.
Yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Any other
Rob.
discussion?
Okay, I'll make a motion to go ahead and approve the first reading of ordinance 26-02. About the concerning the noise level and noise coming from vehicles on the first reading as presented.
Okay.
A motion and a second to consider the first reading ordinance 2602, which amends 8.03.003 in regards to enumeration of prohibited noise from a motor vehicle and providing a fine. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes on the first reading. Item G, on new business discussion of City of Kermit Code of Ordinances, 5.05.037, food handlers permit and appendix A fee schedule, article A4.004, itinerant merchants B food handlers permit. And this is a discussion only kind of ongoing from what we've had over the last couple of months. Mike, you want to fill us in on some of the information?
Yeah, Mayor, Council, and this is all on me. I can tell you that from our last meeting to now, I've done a little bit of research. I've not done the full research that I need to do in order to present to you an ordinance. But I have gone around and taken a look at some various ordinances and, you know, trying to steal somebody else's that would suffice. But and I know that the directive that we were provided with is that the fine will be the permit fee will be $500 a year. But there have been questions that have been brought up and questions that I've found in going through this. And I listed on the third paragraph, such as, do we want to include liability requirements, proper waste disposal practices, inspection requirements? Do we want to have signage, hours of operation? You know, there's a question on some of the ordinances that I've read, talk about restroom access, if they're going to have a food vendor permit, they're going to set up. Parking and safety, noise, submission of necessary documentation prior to operation, which would be essentially, do we want to get their sales tax information? Do we require a LLC or a corp, or an S corp? Or do we simply have to show them it's a sole proprietor, but they still have to get that from the Secretary of State's office? That's the type of the questions that have come up as I began to do my research on this. So I wanted to bring it back to the council to see kind of what your feedback is. Do we just simply put it out there and say $500 a year and that's it? Because as was mentioned earlier by Mr. Isabel, is that the health permit is regulated by the state now, which is perfectly fine. But it's not all the ancillary things that we still have to worry about and figure out. Do we want them in neighborhoods? Should they be in you know, zoning that's C1, C2? So there's all these questions that we still have that I wanted to kind of come before the council and try to see if there's a preference, direction that you want us to begin to start taking a look at so we can begin to start crafting an ordinance.
Well, I think we need some strict rules, or we're gonna have food trucks everywhere.
Yes.
And that's not fair to our restaurants that have built their businesses up. This food handler's permit, is that through the health department or is that different?
Well, our ordinance calls it food handler's permit. The recommendation I'm gonna have is that we'll probably end up changing that to a mobile food vendor and not have a food handler's permit. Because that, when you talk about food handling, it refers to health and safety, which is now being regulated by, or will be regulated by the state, I believe in July.
Okay.
So the current, trucks right now, what are they required to have? Just a permit right now? There's nothing else attached?
Yeah.
I definitely think they should have, their reset, their tax permit. They have to have that.
Yeah.
And I said, you're talking about sales tax permit?
Sales tax.
Yes.
Yes, definitely on sales tax. And I think they should have to have signage and they're displaying their hours of operation.
And of course, proper waste.
Yeah.
You need running water, hot water, liability insurance.
And just so you know, the running water, that's covered under the health permit by the state.
Okay.
So you could word it to where if they're in violation or missing something on the state permit, then our permit does not have to be issued if there's something missing. If they don't have a state permit, then
Yeah, we won't get them. So they're going to have a valid state issued health permit.
But we have to look at the long term versus short term, right?
Mhm.
Regulations.
And that's the other thing that I was gonna ask is this permit going to be good, which will be good for the year, but does this allow them to set up at one location for the entire year? Or is it for a period of time, not to exceed so many days or so many weeks? Those are some of the other questions that I had.
And then I think somebody had brought up too about special events. So we need to keep that in the language when y'all start drafting that up on.
I don't think it should matter. I mean, if they wanna move down a block or whatever, as long as they have permission from the property owner
So,
and it's within the city limits.
And we don't want them in residential areas.
No.
Right, and will they need to maybe come before zoning? To be told,
To
this is where
obtain-
you can,
to obtain the permit?
yeah,
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
don't think zoning,
Yeah.
I think we would have to set forth a zoning restriction
okay,
through zoning, but they would go to PD for the permit, I believe. similar.
Okay.
So we're looking at everything, we're looking at pretty much any zoning except residential. Because remember, we have C1, C2, we also have industrial, I1 and I2. We have CBD, which is our central business district. But in the residential side, we have R1, R2, and R3. So are we saying that we don't want a vendor permit set up or vendor set up in any residential area, R1, R2, R3?
I think so. Yeah, correct. Yeah, we don't want that.
Okay.
And this would include people peddling food out of their residence, right?
Storehouse.
Restroom access?
Yeah, one of the ordinances that I read was that there was a requirement that they had to have restroom access, either a porta potty or that the business that they were set up in had the ability to open up the door so that the customers could go in there if they so chose to. I'm not saying that's just something that I read that I want to put
Well,
out there.
and I think that's probably good in our area such as out by Tractor Supply where y'all picked up several bags of human waste. If they're set up there and they're selling and there's nowhere for them to go to the bathroom, you're gonna have it. So that's a good consideration. Maybe.
So the lady, can I talk about the lady earlier today? I mean, was she selling out of her car?
Yeah, I don't know what she was doing.
It's really not on the agenda. I know, but.
I know, but I'm just
Let's say
trying
people
to think
selling
about
out
their
their
cars.
people.
There you go.
Okay, people
There you go.
selling out of their
There
cars.
you go. How would this relate to
Right.
people selling out of their cars or out of their homes?
Right. I think that from what she was saying, of course, I don't know the full story, but the first thing that came to mind is that she does have to have an itinerant vendor permit through the city. But then we got the health regulation that's required by us right now, but in July be required by the state. So there are those prohibitive measures that are put in place to protect the public, which this is one of them, is making sure that it happens that way. I think that another thing that I thought about actually this afternoon is in those instances where it is a fundraiser by maybe a nonprofit entity or a church, is that going to be allowed to be so? Because they are coming as an example from, Mike's church, that if they're going to sell food for a fundraiser or for helping a family, are those type of things going to be allowed? And if so, we need to put that provision in there. There needs to be that.
I would
clause in
think you
there.
would want to allow that for sure.
That falls under the state health department code. Checked in that one with at Bellevue.
Any other recommendations on this discussion item for staff other than Mike, no R1, R2, R3, maybe special consideration for nonprofit recommendation, and then I know we brought it before the special events. Is there any other
I
recommendations?
mean,
you
I
wanted
think
to-
at least a porta potty, we would never have celebration days and say, we don't have bathrooms though.
There again,
You know?
are they there for 4 days?
And I guess that's the other question.
Yeah,
is that-
that's true. If they're set up for a month, clearly they
Right.
need something, but if they're set up for 4 days, maybe they don't. I
You're
think that,
gonna have to word that specifically in your ordinance.
right.
Yeah, so it's gonna be basically any,
Define short term, long term.
yeah, and
Days.
there has to be a certain number of.
Well, I think as
Yeah, that's a loophole.
It gets
I
tricky.
think as long as you don't have tables sitting outside for people to sit in.
I didn't think about that.
Then you
that
don't
To
need,
go
you
only.
wouldn't, yeah, you come get it and you leave. You
I was
don't.
gonna say, if it's strictly
But-
to go, I can see,
Yeah,
not
not
having the restroom.
Right,
But if
right.
you have tables
Yeah.
and places for them to sit, I think you
Yes.
definitely have to have restroom facility.
Yes, for sure.
Any other recommendations for staff so they can draw us up something else for next month? What about the rates? Y'all want to talk about that? Are you happy with that right now? Though, like I said, this is not an ordinance. This is just for conversation for Mike and staff to take back and start preparing.
No, I
something.
think 500 is too cheap.
Well, if we're gonna require the liability and the insurance, they're gonna be spending.
But you still gotta look at our restaurants that are already established.
and what was it before?
It was
There was a-
$250 every 60 days.
It's like, isn't it like $3 grand?
500 or
Oh.
Okay, so considerably dropping it, doing the 500.
And understand also is that the permit fees are set up as a process to make sure that we know who's here. But it's also used to be able to pay for employee time in doing this because, you know, as we begin to start building out the criteria of this, then it's gonna take somebody making sure that every single one of these things are checked off and spending time and say, okay, well, now I need your hours of operation. You don't have that. But they gotta get that on. Okay, well, what's your signage gonna look like? I don't have that. So it's gonna be some expended time on staff part as well. So that's a part of what the permit fee is. I'm not saying the city's getting rich off of it, but it's to try to cover some of the costs.
What about 1,000?
700.
700?
I'm okay with staying at 500.
So here's the thing. What if they're just here for a month? Versus if they're here for a year? Is it fair to charge that same thing for a year versus somebody that's just in and out in a month? Those kind of things. So keep that in mind as well that, yeah, or finding another loophole.
Is this something that we could
Just keep in mind.
do a workshop on to where we can?
We can, or we can just email Mike recommendations.
Okay.
Cause this is still, and I know it's taking a while, but I know y'all all wanna make sure we get it right that first time, so.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we
Okay.
gotta keep in mind, we're gonna build a park and we're gonna want.
Food trucks,
Food
and we're
trucks.
gonna want food trucks at the celebration days, and we're gonna want food trucks.
Exactly.
But we don't want somebody
Along
moving
city.
to a new location and walk down and then say, no, I don't need any of this.
I'm a new one, so I don't need a
I'm
bathroom,
new,
or I don't,
yeah,
yeah, so you gotta close food trucks. Okay, any other discussion? That was just a discussion.
A point, you're wanting to keep it out of the residential areas. What are you gonna do when you do Best Park? Because you're planning on having food trucks out there, aren't you?
That's why I told you to put something in to consider something about special events or special circumstances or whatever. So it's a big work, it's a big process to get it right. Money wise and
Yeah.
everything. So,
I think the idea of the food trucks were for special events.
Yeah, that's what the Parks and Rec had decided it was for special events.
Yeah, not for everyday use.
okay.
Right.
Okay. Cool. All right. Mike, can I go ahead and do public comments and then go into executive session so they don't have to sit around if they don't want? Okay, item 11 is public comments on any item that's not on this agenda. Do we have anybody that would like to speak on anything that's not on tonight's agenda before we go into executive session? Yes, sir. I'll get a second. Yes, sir. Yes, please.
Thank you. I wasn't planning to do this, but, I do have two if I can do.
You can. You just got 3 minutes.
Okay, the street, I believe it's Ballot. That runs east in 115 by the school.
Mhm.
Is it considered a 3-lane? I'm just curious because of safety, me getting a ticket for doing something wrong because somebody's in my lane, but when it comes time for picking up kids, they're all lined up on the side of the road. Then they pull out to get in to leave. And if it's 2-lane, they're the ones that's breaking the law.
Okay.
So I'm just trying to figure out if it's a 3-lane certain times of the day, like the speed limit, or stay off of it.
So in this session, we can't engage conversation, but we're taking notes and somebody will get back to you.
Fair enough.
I don't want you to think we're doing it. You want your other item?
I don't like to look over everybody's shoulder, but, being as I got hit for a RV parking violation, I still see motorhomes parking people's driveways. A big, I'm sure it's over 40 foot parked at the end of the street. And I keep seeing them, I keep seeing them. Is it that, I know you can't answer, is it that the fine ain't enough to worry about? Or, I don't know, I get slapped and it don't seem like they do. So, well, you got a big pocketbook.
Or that you care more?
Can I get your name, sir, please?
Gary, C-A-R-Y. Hildebrand. Hildebrand.
Things last month in the around the school zones.
Reach out to you. Sure.
Yes.
We
432.
need it.
208 0962.
And then we can.
Thank you.
Mike, when we did our traffic study over by the schools, did it include Dallas Street?
Included Waco.
We go into, and now, I think Dallas up to East Avenue.
So I'm not gonna talk to him, but I think on Dallas Street, we had some traffic control measures that we passed that are gonna be able to put in.
That we're looking at doing it over the
And
summer.
that'll kind of help control the flow and some of that stuff.
Okay.
Sorry I couldn't address you,
That's
sir,
fine.
but
I mean, if it was marked,
so.
I'm good. Just several, like I move over because they're marked. Thank you.
Good job, you finished right on time. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, so I just wanted to address first and foremost, the lack of proper and current staff training that we have here at the city of Kermit. And I've seen it and experienced it myself, but I've also seen it in several departments over the years, being that we've been involved for so long. Also, kind of to touch base on a financial issue, we have programs, software companies that we use, and we obviously, based on what other people have already mentioned today, have concerns about finances not being taken care of or not being kept up with, and there's things going on. I think that there's a lot of things that can be put into place, implemented, so that it can be monitored better. I think that there's a lot of things that can be addressed in that way to protect the assets of the city of Kermit, to protect the citizens, and just to build on that trust that the citizens have and the employees as well. And then another thing would just be just financial awareness, like, especially as a council, but also whatever your position is in any business that you work for, you need to be aware of things that are going on. So there needs to be some type of transparency, and if nothing else, just integrity and accountability for things that are going on, so that you don't have to keep addressing the same stuff over and over again, year after year, or meeting after meeting, or what have you. That's all. Thank you.
Thanks, appreciate you. Okay. At this point in time, we're going to go back in the agenda to item 7. I'm sorry. Yes, sir. Come on up. Sorry about that. Thank you.
Thanks, Gary. 4 o'clock.
Y'all gonna be thankful I didn't make this an hour long.
Start the clock back there.
We're
gonna wait till you get up here, sir.
I'm gonna keep this under 20 minutes for sure. No, but I did have a comment on the postal deal. I really did, and like I told him back there, I put a barrier on purpose between my property line and someone else's, because they cut through the yard and they drag them dead stickers from other yards across, and then they come through the carport, jump over the fence right here to the neighbors, go underneath my carport, and then up and over. Second of all, we ain't got a whole lot of groundhogs here. If they stay on the sidewalk, they're pretty much okay. Now, the dogs, that's a whole different deal. But they're everywhere. But if we're euthanizing them, that shouldn't be a problem. If they're not tagged, if these dogs don't have tags on them and they're not chipped, and like he was saying, some of them being chained up, they're not supposed to be chained up according to city ordinance.
According to the state of Texas.
See, so I mean, there's a lot of flaw in there as well. Don't get me wrong. I want my mail just as well as y'all do. But, we got to work together on this deal too. Because here's the deal. Whose house are you going to put the mailbox in front of whenever you put 20 of them down there?
Yeah.
And then are they going to have a fence or are they going to have a pit bull? So, I mean, we got a Doberman people live 2 houses down from us, and they got Doberman, and that sucker's out right now, I guarantee you, because we pick them up on our camera all the time in the evening time. And it's just a matter of time, gonna walk out there, and if something happens, you get forewarned. They won't be a Doberman.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, I apologize for looking down. Do we have any?
Appreciate it,
Oh, you're
guys.
good.
Thank
Thank you. We appreciate the input. I'm looking down a while ago and I apologize. Do we have anyone else that would like to address council on anything that was not on the agenda tonight? Okay, we're gonna move back to item 7, which is executive session. And then when we come out of executive session, we'll take action if necessary and have our closing comment. So if you stick around, we'll be back shortly. Thanks, everyone. 8:38 PM. Thank you all for your participation.
Go take care of my office. Got his own mind.
So,
Oh, yeah. Okay.
TVs are possessed. I don't know what you hear.
All right, everyone, it is 9:58 PM. We are reconvening into regular city council meeting from our executive session. Is there any matters that needed to be taken care of in the executive session?
Nope.
Okay. So item 12 on the agenda is items for council, city council, or city manager, assistant city manager. Anybody have any comments? Somebody I'm sure will mention tomorrow night's TMF, but I'll let somebody else get it. Ronnie, anything?
Yep, got several things. First of all, the other night, we got to go out and look at this, our new, water truck, the fire department. And by God, that's something everybody should be proud of. They got to use it yesterday on the grass fires.
You said 3,000.
They've already gone, I know it went by yesterday, and, the fire department, the grants they got, and then between the county and the city, that is a awesome piece of equipment. Also the new street sweeper. It's going around. I've heard several real good comments on that. I want to commend police department. I have a scanner at the shop. I listen to it and they are busy. They're working the street, especially with the trucks going through, where they're not supposed to. The water station over on Bryan Street, fence around it, looks really, really nice. One day it wasn't there, and then the next day it was there. Anyway, it looks really, really nice. And does anybody know why there's a black plastic garbage bag over the fire hydrant on Avenue D in Dallas?
Yeah, I think it needs to be repaired.
Yes.
And so in order not to be used,
It's D in Midland.
D in Midland. I'm sorry, D in Midland.
It's the testing that we're doing for Park Hill.
oh, I'm sorry, that's right. So I forgot about that. Yeah.
Put a meter on it. It's testing the water. And we didn't want to leave it exposed because it would be easy to remove that.
Okay.
So we just.
So do you remember a few months ago that we entered into an agreement, or me and Gabe Park Hill, to do that hydrological water study?
That's what I did. Okay. Hey, you getting the doorknob on the door down there?
Okay, so that was actually done intentionally.
Oh, okay.
So that you can exit out, but nobody can exit in.
Oh,
The
Security aspect.
okay. All right. Sounds
There's
good.
there's a method to my madness.
That's fine.
So nobody can attack me.
Oh,
Yeah.
nobody.
Except if we leave the door open, then it's perfectly fine.
I'm defeated.
That was, I believe, okay, and I noticed that the old nursing home is gutty. And it looks like they're fixing to start tearing it down.
We have a meeting Monday at 9 with Kimney Horn and the contractor, and they will begin to start demo probably that afternoon.
Cool. Right. Well, I noticed it's gutted. The windows are all knocked out of it, and sheet rock's all gone. That it'd be a blessing when, I hate to see it go, but it'll be a blessing when it's gone. And I believe that was that's everything I had.
Ms. Sweet, Ms. Short?
I just want to make sure that we follow up with Mr. Hopper on his RV permits, and if we could, oblige Mr. Stanley and add some kind of a post to our social medias about putting your mailbox out at the curb when you move. Help them out. I have seen a lot of dogs, but only in the last week. I assume it was just warmer weather, probably, those kind of things. But, we're fully staffed at animal control.
Yes, ma'am, we are. And I sent a message to Nate. We're gonna get together and put together a plan.
I feel like it's hard for them because if the public doesn't inform them, there's no way for them to know. So just trying to encourage people to communicate with us and
As always, we do the best we can. And thank y'all for everything. I'm looking forward to 10 all tomorrow. I've heard good things.
Ms. Chavez?
No, I just want to thank everybody for all that y'all been putting up with me this week. It's been a rough week and everybody can sleep tonight. Name of myself.
Good news, Joe? Amen, bro. Mr. James?
Thank you guys for everything you do. And also thank you guys for the warm welcome. Appreciate it. Hopefully we can work together and get some things going.
Welcome to the show.
Yes.
Ms. Judy?
I just want to, I don't know how to say this. We have a great group of people that have been assembled and put in position. And I feel like everything is going in the right direction that we want it to go. We as a council work very well together. And we don't want to go backwards. We want to keep going forward. And I just want to thank everybody for all that they do and all the work going on.
Thank you, ma'am.
Oh, and we have Reclaim Kermit coming up March 21st. So everybody get your gloves on and your trucks and trailers ready.
Start cleaning
So
up.
we clean up some more stuff.
I don't remember how many tons we're up to, but it's a bunch. I'll get Caesar to tell me again. It's like 30 tons or
Last year was 74.
74 tons we got off the streets.
Wow, in 1 year.
If we would
That's
just do
great.
something up here. Kelsey, thanks for mentioning TML tomorrow night. For those that are practicing Catholics, we'll have a fish option as well. So you won't be worried about what you're gonna do. Thanks to Caesar, who's not here, for pointing that out again. So we shuffle things at the last minute. We're gonna have some smoked salmon as well as the barbecue and stuff. The decorations are awesome. It really looks cool up there. The ladies that are and gentlemen that are working up there have done a great job. Special meeting next week, the 24th, which is Tuesday.
Yes, sir.
And the second one is on the 25th if needed. So y'all make note of that in your packet. And I think I asked you already. Okay. Only one more thing left on the agenda.
Motion we adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. That's what we do.
That's why, that's what it is. Not